welcome to episode 60 of Winging It. Retake, Pisstake. Still not over it, Hesketh.
I wonder what that could be
about. Just me and Hesketh this week. Albert is on holiday, and he almost got his comeuppance for always pissing off abroad, didn't he, Hesketh?
Yeah, he did. He thought he'd try his hand at being in an action film, but he wasn't planning on being the stuntman, so it went a bit wrong.
Yeah, his taxi appeared to get rear-ended on his way from the airport to his hotel. Everybody is all right. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah,
just got
he was
very
annoyed.
Shouty,
and he was annoyed that he was stood out in the rain as well. So, I mean, if that's the worst thing that happened, I think he's doing all right.
Well, it's karma for not coming to Selhurst on the weekend, where we all had to stand out in the rain.
We were all curmudgeons.
We'll get into that later. But glad he's all right. You said you had a beer.
Yeah, I'm almost finished with a beer. I had a beer because I was watching a film before we started recording. What
did you watch?
I watched a film called Cuckoo, which has Dan Stevens in it, who was born in Croydon, and is done by a German director. So we're covering all bases here.
Out of 10?
7. It was pretty good.
Oh, sounds like I would recommend.
Yeah, it's not bad. But I had a beer. I've got just an Asahi, but I'm almost done with it now.
I'm not even sure I want this beer.
Oh, no. That's not good if you're saying that. Well, unless it's a Heineken.
It's from Vault City, and it's called Fruity Fluff.
Wow. Be thankful Albert isn't here, because he would have something to say about that.
Get your fix of Fruity Fluff. This tropical dessert sour showcases a vibrant blend of Alfonso mango, juicy pineapple, and tart passion fruit among cloud-like layers of marshmallow fluff whipped up in-house and added directly to our tanks, infusing irresistible sweetness and a silky smooth mouthfeel.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to that.
And did I misread? It is 8%. Jesus. Okay, I'm just going to pour half of that out before I have a taste. And it's a sour. Oh my goodness, it smells a bit like a Solero or something.
Oh, I don't mind that.
Oh, actually, it's really good. It's really nice. Okay, I'll let it off. Good job, Vault City. Well done.
Does your mouth feel silky?
I will drink your Fruity Fluff.
Great. What an endorsement.
Feels so good in the mouth. Oh, what doesn't feel good anywhere is the collective legs of Sheikh Decore and Rad Chad. Out for the season, both of them.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, they're obviously both quite serious, but it sounds like Chad is done his ACL. I read somewhere, which is usually like 9 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
So another signing that we get quite excited about and then don't get to actually see play very often.
And on turn, I just can't help but think back to the end of season of Always last year, the first time we had a picture of Decore and Wharton sat with each other, and everyone just, I think I tweeted at the time, the Premier League's been put on advance warning.
Yeah.
And they've played about 4 games between them.
We said the league wasn't ready. It turns out Decore wasn't ready. And then Wharton wasn't ready. And now Decore's not ready again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't catch it. Well, can catch a break. That's a problem. Their legs. But it's just, I don't know. These things seem to happen in training as well. Like, freak injury or turned weird or whatever. Not really what we want when we've been fairly quiet in the window either. We'll see how that goes.
Maybe it'll force action in the window. So good news, listeners. You're going to get an advance extra podcast this week. So when you wake up on Monday morning, which will be transfer deadline day, you'll have a transfer special where Carl will be joining. We'll have a Man United review as well. So that will be first thing on Monday for your commutes, whether that's on the train into work or from your bed to your desk, working from home or whatever it is. So one to look forward to. So we'll keep the transfers pretty much for that episode.
Yeah.
It will be basically as up to date as it possibly can be, given that we can only get Carl on Saturday night before he travels to Manchester for United away the next morning. So might be a tiny bit out, but as up to date as it possibly can be. And let's face it, nothing's going to happen until Monday anyway, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Someone else is out as well, but of the club, Rob Quinn has left the under-18s. Now, anyone who's played in the Brentford games will know Rob Quinn played in them for many years and really, really sound bloke, really, just a great character, very calm, comes across really, really well, and was really happy when he got appointed at the under-18s level and advance his way up through whatever ranks there were there, because he's definitely someone you'd want around kids at that age, a real calm head, as I say, and really had time for everyone and coached people through. And it's so funny. He played a couple of games for us in the Premier League, and he had a decent football career in league football, but on a pitch full of amateurs in the Renf game. he looked like Beckenbauer at the back. It was just ridiculous how good he looked at that level, playing with all of us. So probably sad to see him go, especially someone who undoubtedly lives and breathes the values of the club. So a bit of a strange one. I think the party line is that he's going off to further his career.
Yeah, I read a quote somewhere, can't remember where now, but saying that, I want to continue my career in elite football. And I'm like, well, we'll see how it goes. It obviously doesn't have something lined up already. And it is interesting that he's gone sort of mid-season.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, good luck to him. We've enjoyed watching the 18s play the last couple of years. So be interesting to see who they bring in next, whether it'll be, another ex-player, or if they're going to get sort of a known sort of academy coach from somewhere else. Be interesting.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is Parish potentially getting itchy feet, in the sense that we put a lot of fucking money in this academy. Give me some players, and maybe it's really harsh to pin that on Rob Quinn or, anyone else. If anyone pin it on Darren Powell. We lost 10-0 to Brighton. Pin it on him.
Yeah. Never going to forget that, Darren.
But, you do want to start seeing talents come out, and maybe it's a combination also of us just not giving them much of a chance, whatever. We've obviously got some minutes on the pitch this season in the likes of Kafora and Devaney's coming, but, Devaney's someone we've bought in.
Yeah.
Tyrone Mitchell was also someone we bought in very late on in his development, those kind of things there. There's not really a kid that's worked his way up and come through in a while.
I suppose the one thing we could say sort of in defence of that is that the very talented ones are starting to go out on loan a bit more now. Agbenoni's gone. Imre, we've had him a while, to be fair, and we brought him from Chelmsford, I think, but he's now going out on loan. So it sort of takes time. You would imagine Jesse Derry's the next one if he stays at Palace, which, as we all know, is not a definite at the moment. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping at least those guys who have gone out on loan this season will sort of show their worth and kickstart the academy sort of real conveyor belt into the first team squad.
Yeah. But you've got the two in the Championship at the moment. Jez, obviously, Sheffield United are flying, but he's been not in the team recently. I don't know if he's slightly injured or something.
I think he has been.
Yeah, and he's been in. He had a pretty good run before Christmas, in and around Christmas. Real shame what happened with David Ozo with his injury, but he played again on the weekend for the first time in a while.
Yeah, he came back. I'm
still really excited about what he could become, just because of his physical presence. So, yeah, but good luck to Rob Quinn, whatever he goes on to do in the future. As I say, he's always been a sound guy. So, yeah, best of luck to him. God, he didn't even play. He played after this. The 1993 Division 1 winning shirt has been replicated and is in the club shop. Happy with it?
Yeah, I love that shirt. I love that shirt a lot. I do have an issue with all the retro shirts that are coming out lately. Like I've got them from the first time round, which makes me feel very old.
Yes.
Stop calling them retro. But yeah, I really like that one. As you all know from me and continued friend of the show, Billiam, who used to produce for us, every 2 weeks in the chat talking about how much we just like normal red and blue stripes and how much we want red shorts and socks.
Yes.
No one else in the group really cares, but we just backslap each other and say we agree, me and Billiam.
Yes.
So any shirt that I see...
If anybody at the club is listening, just to get Hesketh and Billiam to shut up, please.
Just one season.
Red shorts next season. Please, red shorts next season.
It's all I want. Whenever I see a shirt that's just normal stripes, then I'm in.
But then the following season, you'll have to do white shorts because that will probably be their next crusade. So go red shorts, white shorts, and keep them shutted up for a few weeks.
Yeah. If anyone at the club is listening, Terry Byfield, because you're always watching. I hope you're always listening too. Steve Parish, Texter, all is forgiven. Just
every match day, we're watching you.
I would forgive Texter for all of his wrongs if he pushed for red shorts and red socks.
Oh, especially if he just comes on stage at the end of year awards, skateboarding on in them, wearing them.
Yeah, that's the kit reveal. Oh my God. I'd be in. I'd be so in.
Given our injury record, he'll probably come off and shatter his other elbow.
Yeah, he probably would.
But yeah, no, good job on the 93 one. It's also a Twitter account out there, is it called Palace Retro or something, that's been doing a couple of bits which you've enjoyed as well?
Yeah, Vanessa just bought their last one was the Black Ribeiro from early 90s. Just really nice kit. We had some really good kits back in those days.
Yeah. Is that a pre-order or is it arrived yet?
That came out this week.
And you've got it physically?
Vanessa she hasn't got it yet. She bought one.
Okay.
But our mate Coops, aforementioned, only ever turns up at West Ham games. He's bought from them in the past and said they're really good and the quality is actually really good too. So
nice.
If you like those sort of kits, get onto Palace Retro on Twitter and pre-order or order even.
Nice. Before we get into Brentford, we saw a cracking headline this week in The Athletic. Should footballers be allowed to impersonate seagulls? Now, this comes after Ndiaye at Everton scoring a winner at Brighton and celebrating as a seagull and getting booked. Yeah. Now, naturally, I don't remember Jamie Vardy getting booked for doing an eagle in front of the Homesdale.
No, I don't. That's not to say he didn't, but I don't remember it.
Don't remember it. And it was also just... It's one of the easiest goals I've ever had to take as a Palace fan against us because it just made me laugh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, same. Like, you spent the last hour calling his wife a grass. Of course he's going to do something. And you know he's going to score against us because that's what he does against us. But yeah, I saw that headline on The Athletic when I was on my way to work this week. And I haven't even read the article. I love that they've made an article out of it. But I'm like, yeah, it's funny. He's doing it against Brighton. That makes it even funnier. Obviously, he was pining for a move to Palace because Friedman wanted him and it didn't work out. So this was him
January.
saying,
maybe that was a come get me call.
There you go.
Here's me taking the piss out your rivals. Come get me.
Oh, it works for me.
Yes. Can he play Can he play centre mid or centre back?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Okay, Brentford.
Yeah.
Another one. Another poor first half. But I have a theory. Particularly in games against teams like Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're loving it. Glasner's a thinker, likes to think about tactics and how you can do things against different teams and make things work, and you're working out what they're going to do against you and all of that. We love that, but I think he's probably having a little bit of a problem this season as no one plays with wingbacks. We're pretty much the only team that plays out and out wingbacks the entire time, which makes it difficult to know what teams are going to do against you, because there's no. I can look back to what they've been doing against other teams with wingbacks and help that to guide me playing against it. So I'm wondering, because if you think back end of last season, particularly when you could take advantage of teams seemingly just continuing to turn up against us and thinking we're going to play a low block like we did under Hodgson. It was really weird. So we just took massive advantage of that. And particularly early in games as well, we were just putting teams to the sword very quickly. And that's obviously not happened so much this season. And it just makes me wonder if there is it's a feeling out period for the first 45 minutes of let me see what they're doing and let me make adjustments. And obviously against a manager like Brentford have, who is clearly a thinker and is changing things all the time, and you've got to see what he's going to do. He's not predictable. He's not like a top six side who's going to come and play against us and just try and beat us in the same way they try and beat everyone else. You think about Glasner said prior to the Chelsea game, they can't do anything that's going to surprise us. We know exactly what they're going to do. They play great football, they do this, etc. But we know how they're going to do it, and we're going to have to try and stop them. Yeah. Brentford will come and do things slightly differently. And I think they were really good, I think, in the first half an hour, keeping Munoz pinned back, for example, by really overloading that side quite a lot. So I think there's a lot of it, potentially, maybe I'm misreading it, that it's just Glasner having to work things out in the first 45 this season instead of just being able to go at teams. And because let's face it, we haven't got someone like Elise who can just take it to them anyway, regardless of what they're doing this season.
I think there's something in that. I mean, obviously, there's a lot. We've talked about losing Elise and having certain players injured. Wharton's sort of moving the ball quickly isn't there, and as good as the midfield players like Hughes have been, we have missed that. But I think you're right. I mean, it was noticeable that Munoz wasn't on the ball much. He wasn't able to really burst past their sort of block. And you would think with him and Sarr, they're both pretty pacey, pretty explosively quick. That would be something that we would try and do a lot, but we weren't able to do it. So, I mean, it's a bit frustrating because, I can't really remember of us having 90 minutes of just being really good. And I know we were spoiled at the end of last year when we were just pasting everyone. And especially, like you said, starting every game on the front foot and really taking the game away from teams for the most part. So it's a bit frustrating because it feels like we're still a bit pedestrian. We're not moving the ball as quickly as we have saw us do at the end of last year. But I mean, I suppose that the positive, like you say, is that Glasner isn't afraid to change things or bring a player on or tweak the system a bit or how we play. Because I think if he wasn't doing that, then it would be a real slog at times. But it would be nice to not have to do that in the second half, just to have a good first half, put a team to the sword early on and get a sort of easier confidence booster rather than what we're seeing at the moment.
I saw quite a lot of people suggesting the players looked a bit tired. I mean, a bit leggy in the game on the weekend. Pitch was heavy. Could be many reasons why. Did you see anything in that? Did you concur and think that the players looked leggy?
No, I don't think they did particularly. I mean, they'd had a week off, so they shouldn't. I mean, it was, the old same pitch for both teams kind of thing. I wouldn't have put it down to that. I think it was just, again, not really moving the ball as quickly as I'd like us to. The odd sort of usual complaint this season of Ebbs not really doing as much first half as I would like. Like you say, we didn't get the ball to Munoz as much. So I just think, if we're passing it around the back a bit, it's a lot easier to just sit in front of us and let us have it there. I don't think we look particularly leggy. I mean, to be fair though, we did bring the subs on the second half, which I'm sure we'll get to, and they did give us, SA ran around a bit and Ketia looked a bit more lively. So maybe there's something to it, but I didn't think we looked particularly more leggy than Brentford did, really.
So, I mean, it was half sparse in chances. We had the first real big one, Hughes playing it into Eze, lovely little flick from Ebbs that gives Mateta some space. And you can tell he's in form because the way he hit this, it kind of had shades of his goal against Manchester United in the same goal at the back end of last season. Yeah. Absolutely flew off of his left peg. But as always is the case, that Flecken's a good keeper and he's made some good saves against us. And he could have easily, cheated the other way a bit, thinking it might go across him, particularly considering it was on his left foot, but he's done well to stand up and get a stiff fist to it. Yeah,
I mean, like you say, it also reminded me of his shot against Man U last year. But he hit it with a lot of power. So for the goalie, I mean, it's one thing to get something on it, and it's another thing, as you'll know, to make sure it goes away. But it was a really good move, and that I was hoping that would be what we'd see more of in the first half. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out that way. But they're the sort of things that I want to see more of, Ebbs, more advanced, quick one touch, nice little flick or layoff or whatever, to get past the defence quicker. I mean, that's what he's capable of, as we all know. Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work out that time, but like you say, it was a good save.
Yeah, and again, you've talked already about being spoiled at the back end of last season. Those flicks were coming off every time at the back end of last season, whether it was Elise or Ebbs or Mateta. Between the three of them, they was always finding each other with those flicks. And we talked about in the earlier part of the season how it was all disjointed and it was just half a yard off in each case and not falling into the right places. So maybe we're getting there.
Yeah.
And it might all culminate in the final 10 games of the season following the same trend as last season and the season before. But we do have a much tougher run of fixtures in the last 10 this season than we did in those seasons. So have to remain to be seen. Then at the other end of the pitch, an absolutely incredible save from Dean Henderson from Visser. And both of us had beautiful angles of that to understand just how late he got it, because I thought that was in the bottom corner.
Oh my God. As soon as he hit it, me and my mate I stand with both shouted goal, because it was just like, it's one of those where you see it going into the corner all the way in. I don't know how Henderson saved it. It was a brilliant save. I celebrate. I mean, it's rare that you do it, but that was one of those saves that I celebrated like a goal, because I was like, that is nailed on goal for Brentford all the way in. I thought it was a superb save.
Yeah, got all the angles right, dived back a little bit to give himself that extra bit of time as well, and he just caught it right on the fingertips just to get it around the post. Yeah, brilliant save, and obviously plays a bit of a part in the second half as well, which we'll get into. we get to half time first, and monumental cock up in the kids' penalty shootout. Did you see this?
I hate to say I had my back to it. Not in protest, obviously. fine with them taking penalties.
Why are they better at scoring than our front three?
Yeah. To be fair, they're definitely better at scoring penalties than me. So maybe it was a subconscious protest. What happened?
So they've come out and they've got two Brentford kids with them, but no Palace kids. And so they had this mad scramble to try and find, I don't know whether it was the two Palace kids who were supposed to be there or they just went in the crowd and got two more kids.
Yanked
don't
two out
know.
of the white horse.
Hopefully they didn't lose 2 children. And the guy, whoever the new guy is who does it, said this wouldn't have happened under Chris Grierson, would it? Which was the first time I think I've laughed at the penalty since he left. So
Yeah.
he got there. It took him 2/3 of a season, but he got there.
Make sure you listen to the Chris Grierson interview with us if you haven't. Cheap plug.
Yeah. Episode 50, go back. 50 and 50 part 2.
Yep.
Yes. Right then. I had a terrible angle for the Eze free kick that hits the post. Now, first up, we had random diatribe. A friend of mine who's a Palace fan also runs quizzes, and randomly at one of his quizzes last week, there was a guy who was in a team on his own, so he got talking to him. Canadian American, left North America for the first time on holiday, and my friend has also been traveling a bunch on his own, so he was just like, oh, like, well, why are you here if you after all your tourist stuff in the day and nothing to do on evenings? We had a poker game that Friday, so he come and played poker with us.
Nice.
And then we talked him into coming the game. We didn't have to talk him into it much, to be honest. He was just like, yes, I will absolutely come if you can get me a ticket.
Yes, please.
So he came to the game. First ever football match that he's been to. Oh. He's more of an ice hockey boy.
Lovely.
Yeah. And he was thoroughly enjoying everything that was going on. And this was one of the moments where he piped up with, what is that guy doing behind the men standing in front of the ball? And I was like, oh, what, laying on the floor like a diva?
He was laying on the floor like a diva. He had his arm on his hip and everything. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. He enjoyed that. He enjoyed the referee's a wanker. He enjoyed that.
Great. Always a good one.
Yeah. Although he does chuckle at all the English insults, he thinks that he thought that was funny. But shout out to Kyle. He was sound and enjoyed the game. But yeah, it was, looking back, I've only just looked back before we started recording at the highlights because I'm amateurish like that. I don't watch the full 90 minutes after being there live, having watched the 90 minutes. But it is a fucking awful free kick. I didn't realise how bad it was. But it takes a massive deflection. And when your luck's not in, it's not in, is it? That was, how's it stayed out?
Yeah, I mean, I also thought that was a goal. Obviously didn't shout goal because it's Palace and I don't want to jinx it. And then it turns out I didn't need to jinx it. It didn't go in. But yeah, I mean, again, from where I'm a bit close to the goal than you, it looked like it was going in. You just sort of kissed the post and went out. Me being me, I'm like, oh, that's it. We're not winning today. We're not scoring today.
Yeah.
But
the state of that wall, though, it just fell apart the moment he ran at the ball. And that's why it opened up that big gap to deflect in the other corner. But
didn't even need to do one of our patented crap falling no one dummies with Will Hughes. They just fell apart even before it started.
So then we get to the dreaded penalty incident. Now, it's like 30 seconds in the build-up, comedy of errors, starting with Ty trying to clear the ball down the line and miskicking it out with his standing foot, was it, to go out for a throw into Brentford?
I mean, it's at that point, it's not going well.
And, it was arguably could have been a penalty on Hughes. His arms are up above in and around his head. Maybe you can argue that he was protecting his face, but you wouldn't be surprised if VAR gave it. And as the ball was flying around in the air, I feel like I manifested it in a way. I was like, this is one where someone dangles a foot and a player just goes flying over it. Yeah. And we have a couple of chances to clear it. We don't. And then Lacroix just hangs his foot. I mean, he barely touches the guy. But it's one of those ones, isn't it? If it's given, it stays given. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that he sort of dangles and then sort of pulls it away, but does the hands in the air. I didn't touch him. And whenever I see that, I'm like, oh, fucking hell. You know what's coming. And I agree. I mean, it was minimal contact, and the guy went down like a sack of shit. But if it was the other way around, I'd be calling for it. And I think, like you say, if the ref hadn't given it, the VAR probably would have said, "Yeah, there's not much contact."
Yeah.
But because he did, I mean, I've got no real problem with it being given. I think, like you say, comedy of errors leading up to it. And Lacroix's a big guy, and so if he does sort of flick his leg out, it's pretty apparent. It's not like you can't really hide it. So, yeah, not massively surprised or pissed off that they give it, but a bit pissed off with the defending that led to it.
Yeah, and then we have what is a surreal or bizarre minute, because Mbeumo's lining up to take the penalty as a minute's applause starts for Matthew Higgins and Mick Lloyd, who passed away in the week before, Palace fans. And, Mbeumo's never missed a penalty in his career. So to have these people applaud it, like the whole stadium's all of a sudden applauding, it must have felt a bit weird for him standing over the ball in an away end, being like, what's going on here? Maybe didn't even notice, maybe it shut it out. And it was an incredible moment because he misses the penalty and the stadium just erupts, and everyone around was just going, that's for you too, that's for you too.
Yeah.
Like it was such a moment. But even from beyond the grave, you can't beat VAR.
No.
Just
no.
ridiculous.
Everything about that is very Palace as well. Like I thought the same. When the pictures come up on the screen, I was just thinking, of all the minutes that this penalty stuff could be going on. And like, to be fair, like I was celebrating a lot of that penalty save, and then sort of slowly realised that there was a lot of players stood on the edge of the box near the referee. And I was like, what the fuck are they VARing it for? And assumed it was because Henderson had moved off his line early. And one of the guys I stand with somehow has great phone signal all game. I don't know how. But he managed to get a replay on when they were waiting for VAR. And it just showed Henderson. I was like, well, Henderson's fine. Well, what the fuck are they VARing it for? Because the replay he showed only showed like penalty spot to goal. So I was like, well, this is fine. But then they just kept standing there. And I was like, maybe it's not Henderson. And as it turns out, it wasn't.
So does Henderson save it?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it hits the post.
It just hits the post, which is basically where my anger starts to really boil up with all of this. Because,
go on.
Yes, Gay's encroached. I think Lacroix's in the penalty area as well. I think, I don't know, I can't see. There's a Brentford player on the far side who's in the area. Don't think you could say with 100% certainty that Visser isn't also in the D, because he's pretty fucking close to it. But the penalty's taken, hits the post, bounces back out. If Mark Gay is not there and does not touch that ball, Visser does. No, I'm sorry, Mbeumo does, and it is a free kick to Palace.
Yeah.
Because he cannot touch it, because the ball's come back off the post, and you can very clearly see that he's going to touch the ball.
Yeah.
So at that point, I don't think Gay's impacted the play in any shape or form. Wisser's not even getting there anyway, because Mbeumo is going to touch the ball. So Wisser's trajectory isn't even taking him towards the ball. It's taking him away from the ball, because if Mbeumo does decide last minute, oh, actually, I can't touch this, it goes behind him.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of that, they've looked at it and they've gone, yeah, Gay stopped Wisser getting the ball there. No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
And Mbeumo is going to touch it, and it's going to be a free kick to Palace. So he hasn't impacted play in any way, shape or form that could have led to Brentford following that up and scoring a goal. And obviously had no idea about this at the time, not seeing it on the replays. Not got any replays in there. No idea what's going on. This is only after looking back at it. to find out who is on VAR.
Yeah, I was told this when I was at the bottom of a pint after the game. And was not a happy boy.
Nor
Who
was you
was it?
surprised. You could have
Who
just
was it,
guessed.
Darren?
You didn't even need...
Our old
course,
friend.
it was Darren fucking England.
My friend and yours. Yeah. I mean, yeah, not a surprise. I'd love to say I'm surprised that he's still in work. But unfortunately, with a lot of the Premier League officials this year, I'm not surprised that he is still in work and on VAR duty.
And also, like, the ref, Tony Harrington. I was like, I've never heard of this ref. Has he reffed a game? Like, is he new? Has he reffed one of our games before? They was like, oh, he's reffed one other game this season.
Oh, got which?
To which my response was, well, he's so shit. The only other really shit ref, like one that sticks in my mind from this season, is the 2-2 draw here with Leicester. And they were like, yes, that's exactly the game it was.
Great.
I was like, oh. So the shit experimental refs from coming up, working their way up, but still getting fixtures like Palace Brentford.
Yeah,
Are
great.
they? Fucking awful.
Bloody hell.
Sorry, I've sworn a lot in the last 5 minutes. Absolutely fuming. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, maybe I'm seeing it with red and blue tinted glasses, but Mbeumo is very clearly about to control that football, and that is a free kick to Palace.
Yeah.
So obviously, he's never missed a penalty in his career. He's not missing 2 in a row. Like you see, Visser doesn't even bother running into the box this time because he's already running off Celebrate. He's never missing again. And Henderson had already shown his move because he gave a little hip wiggle to throw Mbeumo off and then gone the right way, which forced Mbeumo to try and go wider. But you saw the technique that he has in the one he put away, how late he wraps his foot around it. It's like how late you can see that movement. Which is also kind of another bugbear of mine, as I always say, goalkeeper union. But having been a goalkeeper myself, my understanding is you're not supposed to stop your momentum as an attacker when you're running towards the ball. And this whole thing of slowing down your run up as you get to the ball, no wonder people encroaching on the edge of the penalty area because you're not just running at the ball and kicking it. They need to outlaw that. Like they need to outlaw people laying on the floor behind the wall.
Yeah, I mean,
that's mainly for health and safety purposes. Because one day someone's get peppered in the back of the head from someone doing a low shot, and it's going to knock them clean out. And you don't want to get knocked out from a blow to the back of your head
from 10 yards. I mean, the started run up annoys me a little bit because it's like you like you say, look, encroachment, whatever. But like if you sort of start a run, if you're not stood on the edge of the box, saying you're sort of starting the run to go in, and then the penalty taker stutters a couple of times, well, that's A, stopping his momentum, like you said, and B, the sort of defender is now encroaching when he wouldn't have been if he'd just taken it normally. I also don't like started run-ups from our players when they do it, so I think maybe that's a me issue all round.
Yeah. Well, obviously don't need to tell everyone how much me and you love Wilfried Zaha, but he's started penalty run up. Fucking shit.
Not for me.
After he put a couple away, it was like, oh, maybe he's onto something here, and then it just went not so well after that. But
I hate to be Brexit football, but just fucking lever it.
Just JP
put your foot through it.
Just run up and kick it.
Exactly.
It better still be more Dean Gordon.
Yes, exactly.
Try and break the football as you kick it. That's what you need to be. Oh, okay. Then they go 2-0 up. You can probably pick apart the depending a little bit in the build-up, whatever. But what is it? Damsgaard? Mm-hmm. What a player.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, he was impressive the entire game, I thought. And picks out Shardo. Does he only score against us, Shardo?
I think he's the new one. Yeah. He definitely scores against us a fair bit.
Well, did he score? He scored against us in the last 3 games?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Or at least 3 of the last 4 if there's a game in between. But he's definitely scored in the last 2 at their place, and he scored in this one.
And he don't score that fucking many.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like you say, you probably could point fingers at people, but it was a very good cross, and it was a good header.
Yeah, it's a lovely goal, isn't it?
It's like a bit annoying, but what can you do?
We don't score clean headers like that ever, it seems.
You know, we mentioned the championship winning kit. We scored some diving headers in that kit. I want to see some diving headers brought back into football.
Was that well, we did score some diving headers. Was that also the Chris Coleman meatball header season?
Oh, it might have been.
Middlesbrough away? Was it?
Yep.
Might be misremembering that.
I like a meatball header. I like any header that Palace score. So more of those.
Yes, indeed. And the last proper header we scored was at the Emirates, and I was already on my way to Highbury Little Stations.
And that was a very good header.
Indeed.
So, yeah, I mean, frustrating, I've used that word quite a bit, to go 2-0 down, because I don't think we were 2-0 the worst team. But it seemed at least to give us a bit of a kick up the arse, because as the game went on from there, we were a bit more front foot and tried to do a bit more attacking wise. Did you think we were going to score before we did? Because I was just like, it's one of those games. I just think it's one of those games.
Yeah, it did feel like that, and we wasn't really creating anything, was we? There was some okay situations and whatever, but just Brentford was somehow good, whilst I was thinking they're kind of shit. Like, they're not all that, but they're just kind of somehow effective.
Yeah.
In a cold, hard light of day, on paper, it's a shit result given their away form. Given that, what's nuts, if you look at the numbers of saves made by goalkeepers this season,
yeah,
Flecken is like 130, and then the next closest to him is on 80.
Really?
That's how many shots Brentford give up. It's a joke how many shots Brentford give up, and we never, especially if you think in recent weeks, we've been limiting sides to the odd block shot on shot off target without even getting a shot on target.
Yeah.
And having a fair amount of shots ourselves, but we couldn't even manage that in this game. But then, everyone was looking at the bench. It's like, you got to throw the kid on, just because he can do no wrong. Give him 10 minutes here and see if he can make anything happen. And I mean, it's incredible. From the reckoning, he's only the second player in Premier League history to score with his first Premier League touch.
Is that right?
Yeah. The other being really, really famous goal back in the late 90s. Was it? No, it might have been early 2000s. Leeds against Liverpool. It's Alan Smith. Fresh-faced 17-year-old Alan Smith came off the bench and inspired a comeback for Leeds to win. So yeah, and then just scoring on your Premier League debut is pretty special in any sense.
Yeah.
And I think he missed Edouard by only a few seconds. Because Edouard was his second touch when he came on and scored against Spurs.
Yeah.
That is the fastest debut goal from the bench for first appearance in the Premier League. Edouard holds that record. Amazingly took it off of a West Ham player who achieved the feat against Palace.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but now, I think SA then goes into second place in that chart behind Edouard, so it's a very Palace heavy,
lovely
Palace heavy table. But yeah, good finish, or did he nearly miss it?
I say both can be true.
Exactly.
I mean, I think he hit it with his wrong foot, right? He hit it with his right foot, and it just sort of clipped the post and went in. But shots that hit the post and go in look better. So I reckon he was just doing it for a bit of flair.
Now, the big question is, we've had a lot of, he's even had to come out and make some posts about it and talk about it, which he shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But did he, A, just get so caught up in the moment he had to run off and celebrate in the corner, or B, because of the penalty debacle, had he thought he'd actually equalised?
I had my eyes closed, so it doesn't count. I mean, this whole coming out and apologising thing is such a load of shit. Like, just who fucking cares, man? Yeah, like, I mean, he said it himself. He didn't need to. It was like he's just scored with his first touch in Premier League football. You know, he's come on in a game where your team need you to do something, go and change a game or whatever you say to subs. Literally his first touch he scored. He's 19. He's probably had the spotlight on him a lot more already in the week that he's been at Palace than he would have at Millwall. Yeah, of course he's going to celebrate. And all right, normally you just think grab the ball and get on with it. But there was still plenty of time left. Obviously we didn't score, but I don't think if he'd have run back to the centre circle 15 seconds sooner, would it have made any difference?
Well, no, because he would have fucking stood there watching a Brentford player roll around in the 6-yard box trying to get it disallowed for 5 minutes.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he had to put that on his Instagram or social or whatever. But it's going to do wonders for his confidence to have scored that anyway. And good to know that he can be brought on and make a difference. I mean, you don't get much of a bigger difference maker than scoring a goal. So, yeah, good for him.
Thoroughly enjoy the South London is ours. Fuck off Mill, South London is ours. Enjoy that.
I did. I got a text off my Millwall mate the next day, and he was like, the talk on the Millwall forums is, glad that he scored, glad that Palace lost. And I was like, all right, well, you don't need to text me that, mate. Come on.
Yeah.
What I do need to give a shout out though to Nick and his wife Paige, who came over from Austin. He was one of the Austin Eagles that I met when I went over the end of last year. And I met him for a drink afterwards. And I was like, sorry that you saw us lose. And he was like, all I've ever wanted to do is come to Palace and see a goal, like see a Palace goal. And he was like, now I've seen SA score like a record-breaking goal, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can die happy. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's great. But also quite Palacey that you've turned up in January. It's cold. It's pissing with rain. And we've lost. Welcome. So, shout out to Nick and Paige. They had a great time, to be fair. So I'm glad they got to savour the delights of Selhurst in the rain.
Got the quintessential Crystal Palace experience by the sound of things.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, there was a lot of stoppage time, although I still feel like 9 minutes wasn't enough given the amount of shithousing that Brentford were doing all over the pitch in terms of time wasting and so on, and with the injuries that occurred. I mean, Chris Richards was down for ages after the second goal. Their player was down for ages after the first goal. Should have probably been more than 10 minutes, but we never really looked like getting the goal, did we? If anything, they were going to pick us apart on the counter, and a couple of times we did well to prevent them getting a shot away. But just have to write it off as one of those days in the end. But I think the underlying thing is going to be the first half again, a slow first half, as stop giving it all yourself to do in the second half, basically. But can't complain too much. Would have taken 2 wins out of the last 3 games. So yes, right. It's Man United next.
It is.
Yeah. Are you going?
I'm not.
Yeah. I'm gutted I'm not going, because I do enjoy United, especially since we've started winning there. We won 3 of the last 5 there in the Premier League or something like that. 3 of the last 6 maybe. Got a win there last season thanks to Joachim Andersen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a game that we can win and continue our not perennial, like a sort of seemingly eternal leapfrog game with Manchester United in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
We're like the Chuckle Brothers passing back a position to each other.
Yeah. To me. To you. Yeah, I mean, it's... to be honest, I think me not going is probably good for Palace because I reckon I'd louse up our record. Thankfully,
Have you
I
never
have
seen us win there?
I have. I was at the Darren Ambrose game.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only non-defeat I've seen since we've been back up is a 0-0. Did we have a 0-0 not a few seasons ago, maybe?
2 seasons ago, I think. Or 3 seasons ago, yeah.
So when I don't go, we do all right. I'm a bit gutted I'm not going to because, and this will definitely bite us in the arse, but if there is a season to be like, we shouldn't be that fearful of Man U away, it's this season, you know. So cue Harry Maguire scoring against us or something stupid. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how we're going to set up for the game in terms of you saying, you know, like we want to not be quite as dry first half. Do we feel like Man United will come at us and so we try and pick them off rather than us take the game to them? Do you think it's going to be sort of more of the same? Because I assume the team kind of picks itself now.
Yeah,
What
it
do you
does.
reckon?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to end up being the same. I can't imagine we're going to have made any transfers before then that will come in. So unless any injuries have occurred, I don't know, Chris Richards had the head collision and then came off.
Mm-hmm.
Was probably getting subbed at that point anyway. And I guess a lot will... And again, I think I'll discuss this a bit more with Carl on the next pod. But if we don't sign a centre-back, for example, could this end up, we talked about earlier in the season, a formation change because we're very thin on the ground now with centre-backs. Unless we start Rob Holding.
Progression from the under-21s. There you go, Rob Holding. Bringing them through the academy.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But obviously, I think for United, it will be the same, probably the same 11 that started this one. I don't think United are going to be doing anything to try and prevent us. They're still, Almiron, what difference does he... Almiron?
Amorim.
Was Almiron the Newcastle guy who only ever scored against us?
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, Almiron is like... he's coming out of a team that goes out to beat teams every week, from Porto, and he probably doesn't still know much difference. But every time I've watched them since he's come in, they've looked like they're playing the same style of football the entire time.
Yeah.
And you never know what you're going to get with them, right? Because when you've got a player like Bruno Fernandes in midfield, he's just still an exceptional talent. Wasted a big chunk of his career trying to drag them along, but if he turns it on, sometimes there's just nothing you're going to be able to do to stop him. But we've just shown consistently over recent years in Manchester that we turn up to give teams a go.
Yeah,
and we've more often than not of late coming away with points. So you've got to enjoy these little periods of time in football while they last. You think back to the 3 wins in a row at Anfield, for example, followed by fucking nothing for the best part of a decade before Eze's goal last season. So, you've got to enjoy them while they last. And, yes, Man United are a weird one. And, I think, I assume they're playing tomorrow night.
I could not tell you.
Because I
yes,
think
they are.
Europa League games left.
They're away in Romania tomorrow.
Are they in the Europa or Conference? I don't know. Did they win the Cup last year?
They're in the Europa this year.
Yes, that'd be Europa. Yeah, so going to be that. Yeah, away in Romania is not going to be easy for them. Not got a massive squad to be calling upon. Although if they've qualified, maybe they can play a slightly weaker team. Yeah, they've pretty much qualified, but they are going to need to get a result. So, yes, but that's going to work in our favour. I don't think there's any reason why we can't go there and win. Loads of space for Ebbs to operate in.
Yeah, loads of space for Ebbs to stand still and pass it back to Gay.
Do you know what's really weird? There's a Twitter and they're on Blue Sky now account called The Other 14 that looks at all stats excluding the top 6. So it's always a good sort of leveler to look at to, how's your striker doing without Haaland in the mix? Which is always nice. But yeah, what's interesting every week that they post a table of dribbles, take-ons.
Is Ebbs up there?
We've got no one on there.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to say it turns out Ebbs is good. This
is a list that in the past we'd have our front three would be embedded on. Zaha would be first or second, and then Ayew would be third. This was just, and it shows, I guess, the drastic difference in play. We were still getting players on there last season. Ebbs was still on there. Yeah. Elise was definitely on there. But now this season, there's just no one running with the ball. Because you would have thought people who don't watch Palace every week would probably assume Sarr's someone who gets on the ball and runs past players, but he doesn't. It's more trying to run in behind and get onto loose balls and so on. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird not having dribblers, isn't it?
It is weird not having dribblers. I would like them to come back, please.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely, you want of that front three together, you want a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left, and you want them cutting in and beating players and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that's probably ideally what he would want, Glasner, in that sense of kind of how it worked last season at the back end of last season. But for whatever reason, we haven't been able to strike that balance. Had to work it differently because of the way Sarr is, and it's not to have a go at Sarr. Obviously, Sarr's been having a good season.
Yeah.
So it's just a different way of doing things. Many different ways to skin a cat.
All right.
So, yeah, okay. So maybe we'll win, maybe we'll lose. What did Gattuso say? Sometimes fucking good, sometimes fucking shit. Only slightly more Italian and less shit. Okay, yeah, so that's it for this week then. We, as I said, at the top of the show, Monday, first thing, look out for it. There'll be, I think it's going to be a segment with me and Carl, and then another segment with me and you, talking about United.
Fantastic.
Pin it all together, chuck it out Monday morning, jobs are good, and share it with your friends. Retweet, repost on Blue Sky.
Yeah, Blue Sky.
Yeah, share it on Instagram, follow, like, and subscribe. all of that shit. So I don't even like
smash
do
that like button. I don't know if you can smash it. You can smash the like button on Blue Sky.
We do have a YouTube account.
Oh, smash it on YouTube.
Yeah, but that's just so you can go on YouTube Music, I think.
I've become what I hate. I rescind all smash that like button comments from the last 2 minutes.
Excellent work. So anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks, Hesketh.
Thank you.
We'll get Albert back at some point, assuming he makes it out of Morocco alive. But brilliant. Thanks for listening, and until next time, up the Palace.